All right, so what I want to do in this video is talk a little bit about the four different kinds of, I, I don't really know what the overarching category name is. I'm going to call them common goods, but that's really just one of the four because there's common goods, public goods, private goods, and club goods, okay? And we're just going to talk about what each four are. Oh, gosh. Okay, so the best way to do it, this might look familiar to you, is we have this little quadrant looking thing. We have we'll put, is it going to be non-excludable? This is going to be excludable. This is going to be rival. No, we'll put this as non-rival, sorry. And this is rival. Okay, and we'll get into what each of these means. So this is a public good. This is a club good. This is a private good. And this is a common good. What the heck? Okay. There we go. That's a little bit better. So what does this all mean? So, well, let's look at non-excludable first. So non-excludable, or excludable, sorry, excludability. It's pretty simple. Excludability means it's limiting, it's restricting who can use it and who cannot use it. Okay, so I think a great example of this is parking. Okay, at BYU, there's different kinds of parking. There's A-lot parking, there's U-lot parking, there's Y-lot parking, etc. So U-lot parking is for anyone. And I would say it's non-excludable. You argue because you have to register your car, but we'll say it's just like free, typical parking and you can get it anywhere. It's non-excludable. A-lot parking, on the other hand, is excludable. It's restricted to only faculty or staff. You have to be a faculty member to be able to park in A-lot parking. Us students cannot park in A-lot parking during the school hours. Or Y-lot parking is also excludable because you have to pay for a permit to park at Y-lot parking. Okay, so that's an example of excludability. What about rivalry? What does that mean? So rivalry is basically as more people use the good, it diminishes or affects the experience of others. Okay, so a good example of this, I would say, is like driving on the highway. How does your experience of driving on the highway at, I don't know, like 1 a.m. on I-15 at 1 a.m. compared to driving on the highway at 5 p.m.? Very different experiences, right? And why is that? It's because there's traffic. So at 1 a.m. there's no traffic. At 5 p.m. there's a lot of traffic. So there's more people using the good, which is the highway. And as such, the more people that use it, the more it affects the experience of using the good. So this is an example of rivalry. So like, for example, a freeway would be rival, but it would also be non-excludable because anyone can use the freeway. Okay, so let's just go through examples of each one. So like we talked about, what we said, we said this is a freeway, right? Because anyone can use it, like I-15. It's non-excludable, however, it is rival. what about a public good? So finding non-rival examples are a little bit tricky sometimes. I think a good example, because you can argue that everything is is rival to some degree, but we're gonna think generally speaking, like for the most part, like viewing a sunset is pretty non-rival, just because everyone can look at a sunset and it typically is not gonna affect the other person's experience of it. So I would say that would be non-rival, and it's also non-excludable because it doesn't restrict who is using that. So I would say like viewing a sunset. We also talked about this example in class, but also I would say like national defense. So as a citizen, since I live in the United States, I receive national defense for living here. It's not excludable, it's not restricted. Like if I lived here, even though I'm a citizen, it's great, but the fact that I just live here, if I moved here, even if I wasn't a citizen or even if I was just visiting, I would still be defended by the United States government, I guess, or the army, and it's non-rival because it doesn't matter if there's 100 people here or 1 billion people here, the nation's still going to get defended. So that's an example of something that's non-rival. Okay, what about excludability and rival? So I would say let's see here. This is why coming up with the examples for these can be tricky. Oh, it's a good one. So like for example, I would say like a telephone, or like this is for a club good that's excludable but non-rival. So like maybe getting like an unlimited data plan or something. Like I have to pay for that. But for the most part, it doesn't matter if, like, let's say I get like, I don't know, a plan that it has a limited amount of people on it. It doesn't matter if there's one person or 1,000 people, etc. It's always going to be there. I think another good example of this is like a buffet. So just think of a buffet with unlimited amount of food. So I have to pay to get into the door of the buffet, but it doesn't matter if there's one person there or 100 people there. There's still going to be unlimited amount of food because they're constantly making food for me. So I would say that's non-rival and excludable. And then finally we have a private good. So a private good is simply something that's both rival and excludable. I'm looking at this notes from online, and the examples are just not very good. I would say for a private good, that is like a toll road. Okay. Like I have to pay to use the toll road, but if a lot of people use a toll road, then there could still be traffic on the toll road. It's not very likely, but it's still possible. So these are just some general ideas, and then of just what each one means. Just really briefly, there are inefficiencies created. So with excludability, because I'll do another video talking about this. I don't want to rush it because I see the time's almost up. But let me know if you have any questions about this. Adam out.